Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 3 of the iPhone. And this will be the final week on the iPhone. Um, and then we're going to get started on training on other technology. So, what do we have for you for this week? We have introducing the rest of the accessibility features. We're going to go a little bit quickly in that in the introduction. And then in the end, I want to leave plenty of time for answers and questions, and as well as plenty of times for questions and answers, maybe on stuff other than iPhones. Because as you all know, for the last 2 weeks, this gets uploaded to YouTube, and hopefully you guys are finding this useful. And so let's get started. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to unlock my iPhone. All right. And I was going to put this over the interface, but the connector is not anywhere to be found. So let's do this the old-fashioned way. We will share the screen of the iPhone. So I'm just doing that really quick. Yep. Okay, here we go. Check. And we'll say sure. Check.
Zoom.us, system dialog, space with application Zoom.us, audio sub menu, mute.
Okay, so now I'm going to get this all set up. And what you need to do, if you guys ever want to share your screen, is you need to go to AirPlay, or sorry, screen mirroring.
Apple TV remote screen recording, hearing voice camera flash screen volume screen mirroring.
There we go.
In progress. Screen mirroring.
Now I select
Apple Gray TV. Zoom Schwann's Mac. Zoom.
Application, system dialog.
There we go.
Stop mirroring.
Perfect. Now it is sharing. So now I'm going to turn off voiceover.
Voiceover off.
Turn on voiceover.
Okay. I turned on voiceover.
Utilities folder, 27 apps.
There we go.
Audio destination, headings, braille screen, portrait, sounds, volume, sounds, off.
Okay. So now I'm just going to turn my screen curtain off.
Screen curtain off.
All right, here we go. So we've talked about voiceover. We talked about apps. What other things is there to talk about? Well, let's go into the accessibility settings. And a lot of these are going to be simple explanations of what these are, seeing as I have no usable vision. So things like smart invert isn't really my cup of tea. I'm not really, I guess you could say, not the word wouldn't be qualified, but I would not be the best person to explain that. But let's open accessibility settings and let's see what we have. Open accessibility settings.
Let's take a look at the settings for accessibility.
Okay.
Settings, Apple, keyboards, button, setting, vision, heading.
Okay, so here we go.
Voiceover, on, button.
We talked about that. And
Zoom, off.
Zoom. So Zoom is essentially a screen magnifier. So if you are a Windows person, think of Zoom as like Zoom text, or think of Zoom as something like like the Windows magnifier, or what they have. I think Dolphin used to have something called Supernova, I believe. I believe that was a screen magnifier, but just to name a few. The cool thing about Zoom, from what I understand about it, is that I believe what zoom does is you can magnify a certain area of the phone if you're really concentrating on an area. But just let's keep going down here.
Magnifier. Off. But.
Okay, this one I can explain. So magnifier off, and hopefully you guys are seeing this okay. Visually, you guys can hear it obviously okay. But so magnifier, what is that? Magnifier, it allows you to magnify anything you want to with your camera. So essentially, it's using your back-facing camera. If you have an iPhone 7 or above, the camera is very good. The back-facing camera is very good, and you can zoom up to, I believe it's 16 times with the iPhone's camera. So if you have low vision, I can imagine the magnifier could be very good for something like scanning a print document that you might get in the mail. Or you know how your agency will sometimes send you um, a print document even though your vision might not be as good as you would like it to be able to read that document. And you might prefer Braille. Well, with the magnifier, hopefully you can get some good results with that. And with the magnifier, since this does interest me a lot, I looked in there and there's a freeze frame option. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to hover your camera over whatever you want to keep on your screen. And you tap freeze frame. So what it sounds like it does is it takes a picture of what you're hovering your camera over, and you can just look down at your screen after you take the camera, or yeah, after you take the camera away from the, let's say it's a sign or it's a paper document that you might have in front of you. I can visualize this more being used for signs or something far away. You just need to get close up to visually. But you can just look at your screen and you can see what you froze the frame on. Um, and so that actually was really cool, I thought. And they came out with a magnifier not about quite a number of versions ago. Can't recall the exact version.
Display and text size. Button.
Okay, this is going to be different display settings and of course text size. So you can go in here if you want to change the text size. Just let's say you're a large print reader because you may be a senior citizen. You can go in here and um, you can adjust the size of your text. Let's go in here because there's some important things in here.
Bold text. Off.
These are self-explanatory. You can have your text bolded if that helps.
Larger text. Display and text size. Heading.
Okay.
Bold text. Larger text. Off. Button.
And you can have larger text.
Button shapes. Off.
All these are toggles. So button shapes, you can change the shape of the buttons.
On/off labels. On/off labels. On. Double tap to toggle setting.
So this isn't Vision, but sometimes Apple puts things kind of in an interesting position, or not position, in an interesting place. I apologize. How about position or whatever? Anyway, I'm a little tongue-tied. Anyway, the point being is that sometimes you wonder, why is this here or why is that there? Where this or that may be something to do with audio or something to do with voiceover, but it's in audio or something like that. So on and off labels, basically, I think is going to be, it's going to let you know visually if something is turned on or turned off. And right now I have that on for some reason.
Reduce transparency. Off.
Okay. Like I said, the vision options we're going to go over very, very quickly. I'm just going to let you guys hear what these are.
Improve contrast by reducing transparency and blurs on some backgrounds to increase legibility.
Oh, well, there you go. There's the description. I like it when they do that.
Increase contrast. Off. Double tap to toggles. Increase color contrast between app foreground and background colors.
There you go. That's what the contrast or increased contrast is.
Differentiate without color. Off. Double tap to toggle setting.
I guess if you're colorblind, that could be useful.
Replaces user interface items that rely solely on color to convey information with alternatives.
Oh, that's cool.
Smart invert. ORF.
Okay, I can answer this one. So smart invert, um, let me just see if there's a description tag and I'll tell you something that's a little bit buggy about it, right?
Smart invert colors reverses the colors of the display, except for images, media, and some apps that use dark color styles.
Okay, what I can tell you about smart invert is that there's still some bugs within smart invert. Apple still needs to do some bug cleaning with that.
Classic invert. ORF.
I guess that's regular inverting.
Classic invert colors reverses the colors of the display.
You know, these descriptions are very helpful for someone with no usable vision.
Color filters. ORF. Button. Color filters can be used to differentiate colors by users who are colorblind and aid users who have difficulty reading text on the display.
So a lot of different things here.
Reduce white point. ORF. Reduce the intensity of bright colors. Auto brightness. ORF.
I do not like
Double
auto
tap to
brightness,
toggle
and I'm
set.
thankful that, you know, this is interesting because if you remember back in the let me see, let's say iOS 6, it would be display and brightness. And that was actually kind of interesting. That was good because you would go in there to make the screen brighter or make the screen more dim or turn auto brightness on. I believe you go into that menu. Now they have it all the way in accessibility, which again is a little bit interesting. I'll have to check in the main settings because I thought there was something called like this. Maybe it's just called display. It's not called display and brightness now. But anyway, this is where you go to find the auto brightness should you wish to have that on. I don't want it on because I have the screen curtain on. So I'm going to purposely turn the screen curtain on.
Screen curtain on.
So if you're looking at the screen, you should see the phone screen, which is black right now. That's what blind individuals' phones, most of ours anyway, that's what they look like. Because we don't need the extra battery power that the screen takes up to be taken up, because we would like that extra battery power to do whatever we want to do on the phone, if that makes sense. In other words, the screen takes up a lot of battery, and that does not do anything good for us total blind folks. So that's why the screen curtain remains on for us. Oops.
Screen off.
Oh,
Screen curtain on. Screen curtain off.
sorry. There was a little bit speech delay.
Reduce the intent auto
All
brightness.
right.
Or turning off auto brightness may affect battery life and long-term display performance.
That's good. Because
Turning off auto brightness may affect battery life and long-term display performance.
I would think turning it on would affect that, but okay.
Display and text size. Button.
Okay. So you go into display and text size if you want to look at
Motion. Button.
that. Okay. Motion, that's you can turn motion on and off like some apps. Well, let's go in here.
Reduce
Maybe there's a
motion.
good.
ORF.
Okay.
Reduce the motion of the user interface, including the parallax effect of icons.
That doesn't really matter to me. In fact, I think I turned this on one time just I was trying to save as much battery life as possible.
Autoplay message effects. On. Allows full screen effects in the Messages app to autoplay.
Oh, okay. So autoplay basically automatically plays these message effects. I don't get too many of those, but I haven't heard that that really decreases battery life or anything, so I'll leave it on.
Autoplay video previews. ORF. Autoplay video preview.
Autoplay video preview. So if you've ever received rather a text message from a YouTube video, or that contains a YouTube video rather, it's kind of neat because you'll receive one and it'll say something like video and it'll tell you the video. Well, you can actually load the preview. There's an option to load the preview. I believe you just double tap it. because otherwise you would have to flick up to say open URL, and that would actually open up in the YouTube app. But if you just want to play it just from the messages, um, tapping autoplay video preview, I believe the video would just start playing if I'm not mistaken. So let's get out of here.
Views. Orf. Accessibility. Motion. Autoplay. Motion.
Doing
Heading.
a two-finger scrub to go
Motion.
back.
But Shawn Williams.
Oh,
Personal
oh,
hot.
hold on.
Screen time. General. Control center. Display. Access. Wallpaper. Accessibility.
All right, I'm
Accessible.
gonna
Touch.
go.
Face ID and touch. Physical and motor.
All right,
Audio descriptions. Spoken content. Motion. Display and text size. Button.
okay, so this is all.
Magnifier. Orf.
Okay, this is all under
Spoken
visual.
content. Audio descript.
Oops,
Spoken
sorry.
content. Button.
Okay, spoken content. So this is interesting because this is if you have. Let's go in here because let's say you have dyslexia or some other reading or learning disability. There is something called Speak Screen, which actually could assist us in some situations. Speak Screen, I believe, was introduced in iOS 8. So let's double tap in here.
Speak selection. Orf.
If you've selected a text, you could text or select an item, you could have it. You could, I believe, there's a button that says Speak Selection. You could just tap it, and it'll say what you've selected.
A speak button will appear when you select text.
Yep. So basically, what I just said, except yeah, it's selecting text.
Speak screen. Orf.
So Speak Screen is
Double
the
tap
one,
to toggle setting.
and we'll stop that. Okay, but Speak Screen is the one that could be interesting. Let's say VoiceOver isn't reading buttons correctly. I don't know. I'm assuming it's using some of the same speech capability as VoiceOver. So that could be useful. Let's see what it
Swipe
says.
down with 2 fingers from the top of the screen to hear the content of the screen.
That's actually kind of neat.
Typing feedback. Button.
Okay, this is interesting. So typing feedback, this isn't within VoiceOver settings, but I believe what this is, we go in here.
Character feedback. Heading. Characters. Orf. Character hints. Orf. Double tap to toggle setting.
Did it say character hints?
Hints. Hints disabled. Hints
No.
enabled. Sounds. Volume. Speaking rate. Words.
I'm just using the rotor setting. I'm just going to see what it said.
Character. Hints.
Yes, character hints. Interesting. I've not tried that.
Speak words.
Excuse
Orf.
me.
Characters. Orf. Double
Okay,
tap to toggle
so
setting.
again, if you have any type of learning disability or reading disability or anything like that, or you just want to be able to hear the letters as they are typed and the words as they are typed, you can do that without going into VoiceOver, without having everything talk.
Character hints. Orf.
Let's see if there is a description.
Speak words. Orf.
Okay,
Speak whole words while typing.
that's interesting.
Speak auto text. Orf. Double tap to toggle setting. Automatically speak auto corrections and auto capitalizations.
Oh, that would be why I don't have that on. So yeah, you can have it automatically speak auto corrections, which I do have it on my Mac, which I really should turn that off because that does get annoying because it'll I don't like things auto correcting themselves
Hold to speak
personally.
predictions. Orf. Double tap to toggle setting. When typing predictions are enabled, tap and hold on each word to hear it spoken.
Nope, I do not have typing predictions enabled.
When typing
John, I had a
predictions are
comment.
enabled, typing feedback.
I'm sorry.
I had a comment.
Oh, sure.
When this feature came out, I was told that if you use VoiceOver, it conflicts with it really badly. So you don't want to have it on if you're a VoiceOver user. But
Oh gosh.
I do have a friend that has dexterity issues with their hands. And so this program or this app was designed for people who have dexterity issues, like if they shake or perhaps comprehension of some things, maybe dyslexia.
Mm-hmm.
This is to help them, from what I understand.
It's oh, thank you very much. That actually fills in some stuff that I didn't know. So, like the description of the webinar says, let's all learn something together. So that's something I just learned. Thank you.
Yes, he can speak just fine, but he doesn't have any fingers. So before this came out, he was using his chin and his nose and his
Right.
lips to do the gestures and voiceover. So this is much better. Everything is spoken.
Oh, nice. Nice. So, I mean, like, so not everything is spoken, or like, can
I
you
think
please
you can do all
clear?
your commands with your speech, from what I understand.
Oh, you're talking about voice control,
Yes,
correct? Oh,
yes.
okay. This isn't voice control.
That's an option within this for people that can't use their hands, but it has other features as well. That's my understanding. So that's why if you are a voiceover user, you would not want this on
Okay.
because for some
Which
reason they conflict with one another.
I'm sorry, which option was that? You said you wouldn't want
So
on?
if you use voiceover, you don't want this particular app you're talking about right now on
Okay, so
because
it
they would
Swipe
conflict
was.
down
with
with
what
typing feedback button.
Oh, okay. You mean typing feedback, correct?
let's
That
see. No,
that
it's
that was what we were in.
hang on a minute. I made a note. So um, speak screen. That's
Oh,
the
okay.
option name.
Okay. Yeah, I can imagine that it would probably uh conflict because voiceover's trying to speak, then speak screen would kind of conflict. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that.
Voices button.
And voices, you can select all the different wonderful voices that you get for free. Unlike another, okay, unlike Android, it's no big secret.
Speaking rate.
All right,
Heading.
speaking rate. We can go here and we can make it speak faster, speak slower.
Speaking rate. 71%. Pronunciations. Button.
Oh gosh, 70 or sorry,
Speaking rate.
yeah, 71%. Wow, okay.
Pronunciations. Button. Pronunciations.
And we are
Button.
in what?
Accessibility. Spoken content. Heading.
Okay, spoken content. So you can have speech right there. So we'll go back out
Settings.
of here.
Back button. Physical and motor. Audio descriptions. Ah. Spoken content.
Okay,
Button.
audio descriptions on. Um, uh, so I'm trying to figure out why audio descriptions wouldn't be within VoiceOver. But then again, if I think about it another way, some people may use Zoom and not use VoiceOver, but still need audio descriptions if they're far away from the TV. So I don't know. I see it making sense where it is, I suppose, and then also within VoiceOver, but you don't want to be repetitive. So anyway, audio descriptions is great. I do have a few movies from Apple. I buy all my movies from Apple actually, and they're really great about audio description. And if they don't have it, then I let them know that they don't have it and that it's on physical DVD. And sometimes that'll work. It really depends on the studio. So Apple doesn't really decide the audio descriptions, whether or not they're available. It's really if the studio provides them with it.
Audio descriptions. Physical and motor.
Okay,
Heading.
physical and motor. This is so let's go down.
Touch. Button.
Okay, I believe that's touch accommodations. That if I double tap on here,
Assistive touch. Or. Assistive touch. Assistive
okay,
touch. Orf. Button.
okay, okay. So okay, so it's just called touch now. Assistive touch is really helpful, and that does work with VoiceOver. Last I heard, anyway. I have not used it, but my friend Kevin, I think he had a I think he had a problem with his home button, and he did use it to basically he created a virtual home button right on the screen. And I don't use assistive touch, and I think I have tried it before. I just can't recall um, exactly step by step how to work with it. But I don't use it, but it's really great for people who can't press the home button or maybe have trouble pressing the side button um, at all. And you can just create, I believe you can create a virtual side button. So that's awesome.
Assistive Touch allows you to use your iPhone if you have difficulty touching the screen or if you require an adaptive accessory.
Some of those adaptive accessories can be pretty expensive, but styluses, probably not too expensive.
Reachability on.
Okay, reachability is very interesting because, as I said in on the first week, I believe it was, reachability is simply a way to bring the top of the content of your phone lower. So now that I'm sharing my iPhone screen, let me do that. What I'm doing, I'm going up, down, kind of doing it up, down, trying to get reachability to come on. Um, it's basically up, down, and then you have to really quickly swipe down.
Tap to wake. When the switch is off, all vibration on your iPhone will be disabled, including those for earthquake, tsunami. When the if you when the switch is off, all vibration on your iPhone will be disabled, including those for touch accommodations. Off button.
Anyway, reachability is not wanting to work right now, but so reachability, it's a little bit. I've been able to get it to work plenty of times, so I can do it. It's just basically all it does is it brings your content, as I stated, down further on the screen, so you can reach it if you have dexterity issues.
When 3D Touch is on,
All right.
3D and haptic, swipe down on the bottom edge of the screen. Reachability on.
Okay. So here's how
Double
to
tap to swipe down on the bottom edge of the screen to bring the top into reach.
Again, for dexterity issues. I don't really use reachability very much, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn it off.
Reachability on. Off. Swipe down on 3D and haptic touch on button.
Okay, so 3D touch, I do use that sometimes. That's basically a way to either peek or to either open up an app entirely. Um, it so the newer phones don't have 3D touch, but 10s Max, I believe, was the last one to have 3D touch. But I kind of find 3D touch really helpful because sometimes you'll get an app that's just a bugger and you just want to double tap and hold and you want to try to double tap on something or tap on something and VoiceOver isn't behaving. So I do find that 3D touch will help sometimes and it'll kind of force that. I'll double tap and hold and I'll just press on the screen and sometimes it'll press the button that I want that won't press otherwise.
When 3D Touch is on, you can press on the display using different degrees of pressure to reveal content previews, actions and contextual menus. Touch accommodations. Off button.
Okay, touch accommodations. I can tell you that touch accommodations from talking with Apple, because I was curious about this. Touch accommodations, at least when I talked to them, they were conflicting with VoiceOver as well. So probably leave that alone. That is for dexterity and motor impairments.
If you have trouble using the touch screen, adjust the following settings to change how the screen will respond to touches. Tap to wake. Off.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle.
Okay, tap to wake off.
Wake the screen when you tap on the display.
I did have that on, then I think I decided not to have it on, just because I didn't want it on.
Shake to undo. On.
Shake to undo is helpful / not helpful. If you have your phone in your pocket and you are typing, then you get a pop-up that says, hey, do you want to cancel this typing if you're typing, or do you want to, or I apologize, do you want to undo this typing, or do you just want to cancel? Did you not mean to do it? Shake the phone, that is. So sometimes it can be a little bit of an annoyance. Other times it's actually kind of nice. So I kind of like shake to undo.
If you tend to shake your iPhone by accident, you can disable Shake to Undo to prevent the undo alert from appearing.
Well, it's fine.
Vibration. On. Double tap to toggle setting. When the switch is off, all vibration on your iPhone will be disabled, including those for earthquake, tsunami and other emergency alerts.
Well, I like vibrations, so I'm going to keep that on.
Calm audio routing. Automatic. Button.
Ah, okay. So this one is kind of cool and this one I don't know why they didn't put in phone. That's a little bit interesting. Um, but basically you can have it so it automatically goes to speaker, automatically goes to earpiece, or you can have it on auto in case you are Bluetooth to a headset. Um, so I would think that this could be put in phone or in the phone settings, but for some reason it's here. I don't know. I don't know the reason for that.
Calm audio routing determines where audio will be heard during a phone call or FaceTime audio.
Yeah.
Calm audio routing
All right.
determines where
Let's.
accessibility. Touch. Heading.
Okay. Let's go out of here.
Accessibility. Access. Switch control. Voice switch. Face ID and attention. Button.
Okay.
Touch. Button.
Okay. This one. So I said this was going to be quick. I apologize. I apparently there were a lot more things than anticipated, I guess. But so Face ID and attention. This is interesting because when the iPhone 10 and iPhone 10 came out, there were a lot of people worried um, about Face ID. How is this going to work? How's this going to work for blind people? Oh no! And I was thinking, I'm not too worried. When I heard that people were worried, I'm like, I'm not too worried. Apple's come through before; they'll come through again. But I was curious. But the way Apple did Face ID was really cool. That voiceover tells you when to turn your head. It's really neat, actually. And the other thing that Apple really took into consideration, rather, um, is that some people might have false eyes. So if we were to go in here, you can disable um, attention tracking. So basically, you don't. Let's go in here and I can explain it better.
Assistive touch. Assistive touch allows you to use
Oops.
reachability,
Sorry, I
accessibility, back
go
but
back.
physical and motor,
No.
audio descriptions, Face ID and
No.
attention, switch, Face ID and
Okay.
attention, require attention for Face ID, on,
Okay.
double
So
tap to toggle
I
setting,
do have that on because um, I do not want let me make sure I'm telling you correctly.
true depth camera, attention aware, true depth camera will provide an additional attention aware features, on, iPhone will check for attention before dimming the display.
Okay. This one.
A true depth camera will require attention for Face ID. On.
Okay.
Double tap to toggle.
If you have false eyes, as I stated, or you have trouble opening your eyes, then require attention for Face ID is actually you can turn that off. I have it on because I don't want my right eye is smaller than my left eye, but my left eye is normal size, so it basically looks at my left eye, see if my left eye is open. Maybe both. I'm not sure, but I like having the extra level of security, and so we'll listen to what the. It's a personal preference.
True depth camera will provide an additional level of security by verifying that you are looking at iPhone before unlocking. Some sunglasses may block attention detection.
And yeah, that's true. Depending on how thin or thick the sunglasses are. Um, some people may say, well, why do I need that? And again, it's a personal preference. Just an extra layer of security. I'm a pretty tight security person myself, so I have enabled, for example, um, outside of accessibility, but let's say you try to tap into my phone more than 10 times, my phone will lock. You cannot use Siri on my lock screen. Um, so I have a 5-minute lock feature, which is fine because I open my eyes, look at the phone, and it's back up and running. So I'm personally pretty tight on my iPhone as far as security.
Attention aware features. On.
This really I don't need on. Um,
iPhone will check for attention before dimming the display, expanding a notification when locked, or lowering the volume of some alerts.
I mean, I suppose I could turn it off since I don't need it, but I'm not really ever looking at the camera anyway, so yeah, I guess,
Attention.
yeah.
iPhone will check for attention aware features. Passcode. 0 of 6
Oh,
values entered.
nope, we're leaving that on. Okay.
Utility.
Oh no.
App switcher. Settings. Active.
Okay, let's see here.
Mail. Active.
Open accessibility settings.
Here are the settings for accessibility.
Apple TV remote. Button. Audio. Spoken content.
All right.
Audio. Physical. Touch. Face ID and switch control. Off.
Okay,
Button.
let's talk about switch control because switch control, let me make sure screen curtain's off.
Screen curtain on.
Actually,
Screen curtain on copied to clipboard.
oh, I'll tell you about that in just a second.
Screen curtain off.
Okay, good. All right, so switch control actually really helped me out when iOS 8 came out because iOS 8 had a voice control or a voiceover issue where if you use Siri, how dare you use Siri? But anyway, that's what it seemed like to us back then. If you use Siri, VoiceOver would be disabled. Um, so I do have a Braille display myself. I said, well, oh heck, I'm not going to uh, rely on my, I'm not going to pull up my Braille display every time my iPhone screws up. So I taught myself switch control, and you do have to go in there. You do have to turn on different settings within switch control. You do have to create the switches. Let me show you, let me give you a demonstration of what switch control is like. So I'm going to go into my accessibility menu, clicking the home button 3
Alert.
times.
Accessibility shortcuts.
All right, we want switch control.
Switch control. Selected. VoiceOver.
Oh,
Switch control. But VoiceOver off.
I'm holding the phone, holding my head and tilting it to the right. Hold on. You have to hold it very straight, the phone very straight. Okay. Now, the so the thing about switch control, sometimes, so I personally have tremors in my hands. So sometimes if my left hand is tremoring too much, I will use switch control, or if it's hurting, then I will use switch control. So I'm going to tilt my head to the right, and I'm just going to hold my head there. Okay, I'm at where I want, and I just tilted my head to the right again, and I held it there, and it just, that way I wouldn't have to keep, that way if I held my head and tilted it and held it to the right, it would just keep going. It wouldn't, it would not, uh, I wouldn't have to just keep tilting my head to the right, because people might look at you and, think, what are you doing? Why do you keep tilting your head? But if you hold it and to the right, it just keeps going. It's auto scrolling as I'm tilting my head. So let's go to the left. All right, let's go. Okay, let's tap that. So I have a switch. My screen is a big huge switch. Oops. Hold on. Okay, let's tap display and text size. Okay. Let me turn off switch control, but I was tilting my head to the right and then back to the left to reverse. So let me turn off switch control. Oh, come on. Come on. Oops. Turn on voiceover. Oh, okay. There it is. Let me just tap on the toward the bottom. That's I think where voiceover is. Let me see here. Turn on voiceover. Turn on voiceover. There we go. You can do it 3-finger triple click
Settings.
and
Accessibility. Back button.
it will go to the accessibility shortcuts. And I have done that before. So let's go here.
Accessibility. Camera. Camera. Flashlight. Off.
Oops.
Button.
Hold on. Let me see where I'm at.
4:56
Oh, okay.
p.m. Accessibility.
Okay,
Back
there
button.
we go.
Smart invert colors reverses the color.
Okay, let's do 2-finger
Accessibility
scrub.
features help you cut voice control. Off. Switch control. Voice control.
Voice control is very usable, actually. Let me explain how. So one is through a headset. You could wear a headset and dictate that way. Just be sure the headset has a microphone. Two, through a braille display. I have used voice control and it's great. So I can read braille and I can look at a word and I can say select was, and then I can see that the cursor has selected, or the cursor is on the word was. I could say replace with was not, and it does it. It's great. Now, I personally, when I use Braille, I have speech and I have sound on, or I'm sorry, off, sorry. And so I'm totally relying on the Braille display, but it's great. I have used it. It does work. Now, if you have voiceover and voice control on and you don't have headphones, you can use it. However, if you dictate, um, I would turn your speech off before you. No, I wouldn't even do that because if you do that, if you turn off your speech, I was going to say I would turn your speech off before you dictate. But if you turn your speech off, it will, voice control rather, will insert the words speech off. So if you do use voice control and you want a seamless experience, I would suggest a braille display to use with voice control. Again, works very well. And the cool thing is that even though this isn't meant for us as blind people, blind or low vision individuals, um, Apple put in a few voiceover commands into voice control, like voiceover scroll to top, voiceover double tap, voiceover turn screen curtain on. So it's really cool that they put those things in there. It's nice. So let's go to the right.
Side button. Button.
So this is, so what do you want to use the side button for? So if you can say Siri, well, let's go in here instead of just trying to do it from memory.
Click speed. Heading. Selected. Click speed.
Ah,
Heading.
okay. So click speed used to be on the very bottom of accessibility, but it's right in the side button menu. So, okay, let's go in here. Come on.
Selected. Click speed. Heading. Side button. Heading. Click speed. Selected. Default.
Okay, you can have it default,
Slow. Slowest.
slowest.
Adjust the speed required to double or triple click the side button. Press and hold to speak. Heading. Selected. Siri. Classic voice control.
Classic voice control, that would be like if you had an iPod 4 or an iPhone 4, anything below, I would say anything below wouldn't they have that? Yeah, that'd be iPod 5. So it'd be iPod 4 or lower, I would think. Maybe even an iPod 3, iPhone 4 and lower. Anyway, before Siri was invented, classic voice control would be say do things like call Joe Schmo, call so and so. It wasn't very, classic voice control didn't do a whole lot. You could play certain songs if you had them in your library. But right now I have it selected to do Siri, to bring up Siri rather.
Off.
or you could just have it off.
Siri will respond when you press and hold the side button.
And that's because I have that there.
Use passcode for payments. Off. Turn this on to use your passcode to make purchases instead of double-clicking the side button.
No, I like double clicking the side button actually. It's kind of neat because you just look at the phone and it just ding, it just makes, I don't know, something satisfying about that chime. And it's just easier.
Turn this on
And
to
that's
use
that.
your passcode to make side button, button, touch, button,
All right.
face, switch control, voice, side button, Apple TV remote, button,
Interesting. Okay, well, let's go in here. This is interesting.
keyboards, button,
Okay, and then there's different keyboards.
Apple TV remote, directional buttons, on. Double tap to toggle setting. Use buttons on the iPhone Apple TV remote instead of swipe gestures.
I love that. Yes, that's what I thought that meant. So in the past, you'd have to swipe on the remote app. You'd have to swipe up, swipe down. Now they're actually labeled like up button, down button, left button, right button, maybe center button. I don't know. But anyway, needless to say, if you own an Apple TV and you use the remote app, it's really nice that they have that in there now instead of just swiping and accidentally swiping too much, etc., etc.
Use buttons on the
And
iPhone
that's
Apple
it.
TV remote instead of swipe accessibility. Back button.
I'm just doing a two-finger scrub to get out of here. All right, now I'm just tapping the middle of the screen.
Directional buttons. On.
Come
Apple
on.
TV remote. Use buttons. Apple accessibility. Access. Hearing. Heading. Keyboards. Button.
And there's keyboards. Let's go in here.
Hardware keyboards. Full keyboard access. Off. Button. Hardware keyboards. Heading.
Okay.
Full keyboard access. Off.
So if you had
Button.
like a physical keyboard,
Use an external keyboard to control your iPhone.
that's always fun. So I do have an Apple keyboard, and it will give you hints regarding your keyboard commands, which is really nice.
Key repeat. On. Button. Sticky keys. Off. Button.
So key repeat.
Key repeat.
See what
On.
given.
Button. Key repeat. On. Disable key repeat to prevent characters being entered multiple times with a single key press.
Okay.
Key repeat interval. Heading.
And you can change the speed of
Key repeat. On.
I don't know why that's on, but okay.
Hardware keyboards. Heading. Full key repeat. On. Sticky keys. Off. Button.
No, thank goodness sticky keys are off. That's to access the keyboard easier.
Slow keys. Off. Button.
I believe slow keys is if you have motor impairments as well.
Customize the typing experience.
Oh, well, why not?
Slow keys.
Why
Off.
not actually just
Customize the typing experience when using an external keyboard.
So that's basically what you can do with slow keys.
Software keyboards. Heading.
And this is just our software keyboards.
Show lowercase keys. On. This affects keyboards that use the shift key to switch between uppercase and lowercase letters.
Oh, okay.
This affects keyboards
So,
that
get
magnifier.
out of here.
Off. Apple TV remote. Keyboard. Hearing. Heading.
Okay, hearing. So I'm gonna go ahead and just, okay, so hearing is going to be closed caption is one. And the cool thing about closed captioning is that you can also um, have, if you are in a movie that allows closed caption, if you have closed caption on, you can use the rotor to media descriptions, and you can use speech. And then from there, VoiceOver will actually speak what is being displayed via closed caption, or you can use it in your Braille display or speech and Braille. So it's kind of neat because that allows deafblind individuals to watch movies. So that's pretty neat. So let's see what else there is.
Hearing devices. Button.
Hearing devices like hearing aids, MFI hearing aids, and AirPods actually. But you wouldn't go in here necessarily for AirPods, but that would be in the control center to make your AirPods like hearing aids.
RTT/DDY. ORF.
Ah,
Button.
software-enabled TTY. That's pretty cool. So you can type to individuals if you are deaf. Anyway,
Audio/visual. Subtitles and audio/visual. Button.
and there's some visual stuff in
Subtitles.
there,
General. Heading.
and subtitles and captioning.
Guided access. ORF. Button.
You know, that's interesting. I would think that that would be under learning, not guided access, or not general. That's interesting. Okay, so what guided access is that is essentially a way so that you can have only one app open at a time. I'm thinking that might be good for children just getting used to the iPhone, or oh gosh, hopefully it's an iPod. But anyway, you never know. Children these days are having phones younger and younger, a lot younger than I was when I first got a phone. Anyway, I digress. Um, this might be good for just having one app open at a time. That way you're not bombarded with open apps. And it's pretty neat, actually.
Siri. Button.
Ah, Siri. Okay. Let's go in here because there is.
Accessibility
Let's try
shortcut.
Okay.
Ask
Yes. So
Siri.
Siri.
Button.
Let's go in here.
Type to Siri. ORF.
Ah, okay.
Double tap to toggle setting.
Okay, this one, it's a little interesting where Apple placed it, but if you can't move your hand, or if you can't speak rather, yeah, I can see why they put it in here. I was just trying to think why they put that, where they put it. But if you can't speak, you can type to Siri. You can type Siri, and ask Siri your questions instead of voicing them, which could be useful.
Siri will listen for voice input when you press and hold the side button.
Okay.
Voice feedback. Heading. Selected. Always on.
I like it to be always on.
Control with ring switch.
Don't want that.
Hands-free only.
And don't want that.
Siri will provide voice feedback, even when your ring switch is set to silent.
Good.
Always listen for Hey Siri. ORF.
No,
Double tap
I
to
don't want
toggle
that.
setting. Listen for Hey Siri when your iPhone is facing
Because
down.
that could trigger my HomePod.
Listen for Hey Siri when your iPhone is facing down or covered.
Interesting.
Listen for Hey Siri when
All right.
Siri. Button.
Okay.
General.
Okay,
Heading.
and then accessibility shortcut that I have it on Ask because I have voice control, switch control, and voiceover. So that's the accessibility features.
Sean Williams.
We
Apple
briefly
ID.
went over them.
iCloud.
Let me
Utility.
just
App
close
switcher.
settings.
Mail. Active. Settings. Active. Mail. Notes. Active. Mail. Active. Closing mail.
Oops.
Utility.
Okay. Open notes. Sorry, and then I'm just getting my notes back to where
Notes.
they were really
No
quick.
notes.
Okay.
New
So
folder.
that is
Notes.
basically
67 notes. Button.
the
Actions available. Episodes beginning with
okay,
March
and we'll
6th,
stop sharing the
2020.
screen. Okay. That is basically the accessibility the accessibility menu. I'm sorry. And so that is really quickly the rest of the accessibility features. And I'll open it up for questions now. If there's anything I didn't cover, if it's something you wanted me to explain more, I'd be happy to do so.
Yeah, you had shown me how to turn the Hey Siri feature off. So I'm finding that I have to push the side button to get Siri to listen to me. Is there another way that I don't have to say Hey Siri, but I can still talk to it without having to
No,
touch anything? Mhm.
I don't think so because I mean well, so within switch control, I don't know if you want to use that, but you you can actually there is a way you can tilt your head to activate Siri to the left or to the right, but switch control and voice control probably wouldn't work too well together. because they both. I have switch control to speak. Um, so no, not really. I mean, if you wore a headset, you could hold down the equivalent to the side button, the headset. That would be the only way really to trigger Siri would be either to say "Hey Siri" or to say "Oops." I think I just triggered my HomePod. Um, oh, maybe not. Lucky break. Anyway, um, the that yeah that would be the answer that I'd have. I think that holding down the side button would be is your best bet if you don't want Hey Siri.
Okay, but the other alternative I'm thinking of is maybe where you can put a command on the screen to act as though you had pushed that side button. Is that
Um,
an option?
you mean like within the what is it? Assistive touch?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, you could do that. I believe Kevin did that. I think he did do that. What I do is I just usually play around with these settings, and I just learn more and more on my own. But yeah, I wouldn't see why you couldn't do that because you could essentially create a button to act as Siri. Because again, it's all about dexterity issues, and
Hmm.
yeah, I think that could be done actually. Didn't
Like
think
I
about
could
that.
maybe make the side button a scrub motion or
Right.
that.
Yeah. Thanks to the customized gestures, you could do that, or some other gesture that
Okay.
isn't used yet. Yeah. Any other
And
questions?
where do you go to set that change?
Okay, so you would go to assistive touch within accessibility,
Okay.
um, and then you could add a new gesture.
Okay. Oh,
Um,
this has
and,
been fun going
oh
through all these
yeah,
different all these different things we have choices of.
oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Let me see. Another way I can think of is possibly hooking up a braille display. You said you had a braille display. I would think hooking up a braille display and just turning on voice control, activating Siri that way if you really wanted to do that.
Okay. No, I no longer have a voice or a braille display.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, I don't know what happened to it, but a long time ago I had one.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's on the agenda for next week?
Well, on the agenda for next week, we're going to talk about all things technology. So, basically, coming with questions about Victor Streams, any type of technology that you want to know about, I'll do my best to answer.
Super. Okay. Well, thank you,
Awesome.
Sean. I hope you have a great week.
Well, thank you. I hope you have a great week as well, and thank you very much for your time. And it was fun.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks, folks, very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.